either new and also old talent coming in, because a lot of Skyfoxes have seen Contenders before, whether it's in Korea or China or even Remix who've seen Overwatch League once.
Yeah, I mean, like we said on King's Row, I mean, imagine being Chicken Contendies, right? Imagine going up against these names that you've seen, throughout. I mean, other than Harblu, who's had that history, like you mentioned, and Suppose, who's been able to play on Contenders level as well. But here we go. We have the start here. Meta Skyfoxes have their composition once again, going up against none other than the classic GOATS composition from Chicken Contendies. This should be no surprise, the compositions that we're seeing from these two teams.
Well, absolutely. Chicken Contendies, they rely on this composition because they're one of the best GOATS teams in Trials, while the Skyfoxes rely a lot on setting up plays around Buds with the Sombra. But Chicken Contendies, oh, they butt heads two of the Reinhardts, but Gig gets slept, and that's not... the engage wasn't there to follow up from Skyfoxes, and now again Skyfoxes is doing the thing where they give up the space from Chicken Contendies. Now they almost got that second tick. Thankfully they prevented that, but 2 picks down. Mainly your Ana player and your Sombra player here for the defense are out. Clone Man under pressure, Attitude trying to give him some support, but Skyfoxes just couldn't set up a solid enough defense, and that's Chicken Contendies running through point A.
And that was a good adaptation from Chicken Contendies as well. Last week, we saw them getting very aggressive, foot on the gas pedal against these compositions that do bring out the Sombra. They're doing that again here. I like that because it's much different than what we saw in King's Row, where they just let those rotations happen.
And are we seeing the shatter first or the grab? And it's FaZe that throws out the grab, but Suppose is there with all the awesome healing of the Transcendence. Now, for the moment, they can breathe, but not for long, because Clone Man shatters them, and Chicken Contendies now have to reset.
They're going to be pulled all the way back, and without 2 of their support ults that they invested into that fight, and it's going to be very detrimental to them in the long term, unless Zolik can be very, very elusive in this next fight because of what Buds is bringing to the table. He's got the EMP ready, and the only way that you live through that is if Zolik can hide, have the sound barrier come out, hit everybody, and you turn around once that hack is down, and Harblu hits a nasty grab, and maybe they can get kills that way.
That's a pretty Galaxy Brain move. We'll see if it'll happen. Is Bud's gonna be EMP first, or is it gonna be the grab from Harblu? As oh no, they got Salty out of position. The hack didn't allow him to get away, so already a DMAC for the offense. This is not a good start.
And this is smart from Buds. He's not investing this EMP aggressively. He knows that his target has to be Zolik right now more than anybody else. And Zolik, you can see, he's staying behind everybody.
Oh, if they can get rid of this front line, that might be good enough. But like you said, the barrier from Zolik was there. The front line haven't dropped yet, and they took out the on of the defense, but Clone Man receives the nano, and he goes in for the triple kill. And Chicken Contendies, they look like they had the right setup, but they couldn't get it done.
Yeah, they were going for that exact play. Zolik hid very well, made sure that everybody else baited out the EMP. Buzz hit it. Zolik was able to get the sound barrier out. We even saw the follow-up from Harblu. They just weren't able to solidify those kills. Clone Man at the front line was just tearing everybody down, and now it's going to be the case of FaZe's turn. You know, he's got 100 charge right now, 100 energy stored up in his pocket right now, and Graviton that's going to be dropped. I mean, we're going to see Clone Man easily get up another shatter after this one.
Skyfoxes, you know, how aggressive are they going to be with this Graviton? Chicken Contendies all right there. They hacked Gig too, so no main shield for the moment. As Chicken Contendies, they just try and get away from the very scary rally of Attitude. As now they engage with self-destruct, they collapse on top of Clone Man, and that's 1 kill down. Chicken Contendies, though, they're caught into the grab of FaZe, but not enough damage follow-up. But plan B is in place. It's Buds who drops the EMP, and Chicken Contendies alive for the moment. Nobody has dropped from that EMP, and it's Harblu that keeps his energy and has started the snowball for Chicken Contendies.
Oh, they're hanging on right now. FaZe gonna be dropped. Harblu so close to getting the Graviton. They may have to utilize something like that just to ward everybody off the point or get those last couple of strong kills together. Stun coming out.
Well, that's big if you can kill Harblu, but he couldn't finish him. Harblu's about to have Grav, and that could be the saving grace for them, but this fight has already been over. Chicken Contendies just have everybody still alive. On top of this point, a few percentage points away to get point B, but how much time can Skyfoxes shave off of this time bank now? That is their goal they're trying to accomplish. Hence, Buds now on the Hammond, and hence Attitude on the Doomfist. Here's Buds with an engage, but he couldn't stop the time from ticking. And Chicken Contendies will finish Volskaya.
Oh, they get it done. And this has to be their map right now. They are down 0-2 at the moment. It's all about maintaining the time bank here and making it work in your favor on this assault map. Now on the defense, you have to imagine that they're going to be pulling out the same compositions here, right? I mean, it's going to be the case pretty much throughout this series, and it's all about maintaining pace and making sure that you have the control over momentum and tempo specifically going from there. So at this point, I mean, denying Lastro has to be your main call.
It has to be either Lastro, Buds. There's a lot of winning conditions on Skyfoxes, and what I've liked is that Chicken Contendies, they survive through these EMPs that Buds is bringing out, and mainly Harblu has been surviving in these most critical moments. I mentioned that last fight, if Harblu would have died, they wouldn't have the grab, although, you know, having still 5 players alive is still winnable. But Harblu finds these ways of surviving with like 2 HP, and having that cooldown, his self-bubble ready, having his teammates there to heal him. And Chicken Contendies, every time they look like they might lose a fight because somebody's out of position, you know, Salty got demeched at the beginning of that engage, they pull through, they pull off a miracle.
Yeah, and it's gonna take a miracle though for Chicken Contendies to be able to turn this entire series around. They not only have to make a really solid defensive hold here, but then maintain it through a set of not only just one map to tie things up, but then a possible tiebreaker after that.
Now the usual attack from Skyfoxes, and it's been interesting to see how they play around Buds. And now Chicken Contendies really adapting to that by surviving through these EMPs, having, you know, Zolik with the barrier, and also just sticking as a unit so they can't get run over as easily. As through the eyes of Buds now, he's getting behind the enemy team of Chicken Contendies, looking for a hack. He exposed himself though, and didn't get off the hack that was trying to set up for Skyfoxes.
I really like this high ground control, though. I mean, making sure that Lastro doesn't have the ability to throw a grenade. But hey, when you actually rotate off of it, you're giving it up. Lastro now has the greatest sightline in the world.
Only slept suppose, and they were looking to set that up. Clone Man got booped away from his pin, and he got wiped out. So no main shield for Skyfoxes, and now no Brigida. This is definitely a 6 versus 4, not a winnable situation for Skyfoxes.
Hardest job in the world right now is on Salty. Not only is he doing the normal duties of, you know, being able to go ahead and come forward with Harblu, make those combos happen, protect his Reinhardt, but you're now protecting the entire team from Lastro. You have to make sure that you're looking for the fire strikes, the biotic grenades, everything that's coming out. You have to also be on the lookout for Buds because he's going to try to throw out hacks, and you have to be able to quickly turn, get your stealth checks out as well. So hardest job in the world right now is being Salty on this D.Va.
Being Salty maybe is Buds. Translocator out, EMP dropped on Chicken Contendies. It's one support, one tank, another support down, and Skyfoxes, they were just waiting until their gun was loaded, and then Chicken Contendies all dead. Skyfoxes now ready just for cleanup. They get that first tick, and that'll be point A for them.
Still, though, a pretty solid start to a defense here for Chicken Contendies. Now it's about maintaining. You have a lot of options here. You have to be efficient in their usage. Harblu, 87% towards the grab, needs to get it up quickly, or else FaZe can just run them over. And if Clone Man has anything to say about it, especially with the backup of that nano boost that's going to come from Lastro, that could definitely be a massive threat to this defense from Chicken Contendies.
Man, Chicken Contendies, they have to survive this fight. There's so many ultimates on the side of Skyfoxes. This could be their fight to win. Can they snowball this one into point B? C, they get caught into a Graviton, and Gig is hammering away in it. And now another Graviton is thrown from FaZe, but it only caught one person. Gig, though, gets stunned, and he's dealt with. So Chicken Contendies miss half of their team. This is the momentum Skyfoxes were looking to set up. And that Transcendence barely keeping Salty in Meg. They have to use the barrier and the Transcendence to maintain Salty, but he is just out of the fight, and Skyfoxes have clearly won this fight, and Chicken Contendies now just trying to shave time off of this bank.
Oh, even the charge couldn't get the kill. Gig coming forward, trying to get the kill onto the Sombra. He's going to be dying off there as well. And it's just a matter of time here, Jim, before we do see Meta Skyfoxes taking this one.
Well, this is a swift fight. Let's look at the time banks. 3:18 to 4 minutes and 40. You know, a pretty solid difference of a minute and something. And that's a difference of a fight, but still, we're going into extra innings here, Ix.
Absolutely, as is the case normally with 2CP, especially with a team like Chicken Contendies. They love to go deep on these assault maps and everything, but we'll have to see. I mean, Volskaya, the last time we saw them, right? The last time that we saw Chicken Contendies was versus Underwater Squad. We saw them actually get a full hold versus Underwater Squad, who pulled out the Sombra-based composition. It doesn't seem like you're going to be getting that here. I mean, you know, going into this matchup, it was evident that Chicken Contendies had an ability to answer that aggressive, high-octane type play from the Sombra, but it was also apparent that Meta Skyfoxes played it at a much different level than any of the other teams. And Skyfoxes are really showing us that there is a massive difference between, you know, their Ana version and the Zenyatta version that we've seen other teams running.
Well, a bit of a technical pause. Zolik really needs to go to the bathroom mid-series, mid-game.
Hey, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
When you gotta go, you gotta go. So we will be going to just a quick bio break, and when we get back, the next rounds between Chicken Contendies and Skyfoxes on Volskaya. Welcome back, everybody, to Contenders Trials, North America, Chicken Contendies, Skyfoxes, the extra rounds of Volskaya. Skyfoxes up 2-0, and Zolik is back from the bathroom. I think that's what we all care about.
Yeah,
I hope he's okay.
It took him a while, but yeah, I wonder if he fell in or something, or I don't know, whatever. Either way, he's back now, and hopefully for their sake, he's back with that big brain, and he can help them find some way to take this deficit in time bank, which is effectively a minute and almost 30 seconds, or actually, yeah, almost 30 seconds, a minute 25 that they are at a deficit at the moment, and turn this back around in their favor. That's not too much time that you can't turn it back around. Certainly, Chicken Contendies could put themselves in the driver's seat with a good attack here. And it's all about making sure that they remain aggressive. They have to keep that pacing high, have to keep the tempo fast. Everything here needs to be all about putting pressure down and making sure that Buds cannot do as much. And the best way to allow Buds and enable Buds to do what he needs to do is buy time. So if you can make sure that time is not something that he will have, you can shut this out.
And I feel like they rely also a lot on ultimates. That sounds like a forehead thing, but he hasn't been able to find these, these early hacks before the EMP that would ultimately win Skyfoxes the fight before they even need ultimates. So you can see Bud's kind of following along, but Tanner spots him out, and that's going to be the spy checks coming in already for Chicken Contendies.
Yeah, he only gets 20% there, but taking this high ground right now, getting spy checks, so you have to make sure that Salty's turning around. Hardest job in the world right now. Suppose kind of left on an island by himself.
Oh no, Chicken Contendies though, they start to pressure the point, and they're getting, breaking down the shield of Clone Man, who's half health, and now it's broken. That's Chicken Contendies' chance to now storm onto Skyfoxes, who've taken down the Zarya player already. That's a tick earned. But Skyfoxes, they're okay with giving up the space if they know when to re-engage with their cooldowns. If they even re-engage, it's almost the third tick now, and Skyfoxes, they lay down the hammer, and they start to bring the pain. Clone Man comes in like a train, catches Hard Blue. The follow-up EMP is there from Buds, and just barely have Skyfoxes scrape together a defense.
Oh, a late grab and a late trans as well, and still no pressure on Delastro. He's just going to town.
All the ultimates are coming out on the table. You got Clone Man's got the nano. You do not want to get near Reinhardt with that, and you can see Chicken Contendies just resetting, especially after missing 2 supports.
Gig will be coming away with his Earth Shatter, and maybe they'll have to utilize that going toe-to-toe with Clone Man, who has one of his own. But it's all about setup here, and it's going to be difficult for them to get this. But again, bash setups are the name of the game. Aggressive bash setups are the name of the game here for Chicken Contendies. I said it back on King's Row. Tanner setups are going to be absolutely everything. If they can get this first point, it's going to be from a bash.
Or maybe the Grav. Bash or Grav. Phase. Ooh. Getting ready for it. Chicken Contendies, are they ready for it? The caught into the grab. The follow-up is there from Skyfoxes, and Zolik dies with barrier, so he couldn't use that to save his team. Minute and 10 left. And this, getting closer and closer to that last fight territory for them.
And that's where things become really dangerous, because with how we are in this time bank right now, and the fact that Suppose could actually be taken down here, but luckily puts out just enough of a defense that Buds is forced off, but still 80% towards this EMP, and that could signify the last fight, that what they play into for that last fight. 45 seconds remain, and EMP coming up probably in the next 10 seconds or so. That could close things out.
Yeah, he should get this in this next burst of damage, and he has it. Now getting ready to launch that translocator right on top of the heads of Chicken Contendies, who now set up on top of the point. EMP is dropped, and it's followed up with the shatter from Clone Man, who continues to rain in damage onto Chicken Contendies, who only have 20 seconds left to make it happen, and they have the tools, Hurix.
Buds on this Sombra has just been so difficult to deal with. Now it's all about FaZe. Can he close it out for the squad? So many things available for Chicken Contendies, and Gig now forced to try to get to the point. He's not going to be able to touch.
Is anyone there to touch Tanner? It's a very quick Brigida. Can't boop himself on top of the point. Chicken Contendies, they had grab, they have self-destruct, they had the tools, Yurix. They just weren't speedy enough.
It's the Sombra, the hack. I mean, it's a Hammond's worst nightmare is Mei and Sombra. Those are the 2 things you never want to go up against. Maybe even a McCree in some situations where you do get that full fan the hammer, stun into another fan the hammer. That does feel pretty much the worst thing ever. Any one of those 3, especially when it's a combination of all 3. Definitely have to swap. when you see something like that in a ladder game. But either way, they didn't get the job done, but they get 97.7%. So now they have to see if they can get a repeat of that full hold that they had against the Sombra composition. Remember, this is a different style. It is the Ana versus the Zen that you typically see, but Meta Skyfoxes, I mean, they look very much poised to go ahead with this 4-minute and 43 time bank, a massive time bank to get that 97.8% and close us out.
Well, Chicken Contendies, you know, they had the ultimates, but I felt like Buzz has been finding so much value with these EMPs, and the follow-up that comes from it always seems to be successful. So Buds, you can tell he's such a critical, he's the foundation of this team. You know, of course they're a team, they win as a team, but FaZe, you know, we've seen actually him play the Pharah before, and he's gonna tease me and go back to the Zarya. Gotcha. So coming out the doors, and it's actually gonna be Bud sticking onto the Sombra. Sometimes people use Sombra as a scout, but Buzz has been playing Sombra all day, and he's gonna do his usual thing, is getting behind the enemy team and finding a critical hack onto at least one of the tanks would be ideal.
Or at least putting some pressure onto the backline as well. So either of those two things will be a success for them so that their front line can get an active position on this fight.
Attitude, how does he do this? He did it on King's Row, he flails everyone to death, the supports are dead for Chicken Contendies. That's one beefy Brigida player. Now only, well, they still have to get to 97.7%, so Chicken Contendies have a chance to engage if they get there quick enough, but they did get staggered, so they won't have their full 6.
And the only way to get there is a Lucio, who is probably going to get hacked while actually trying to do so. So there's the aura gone. Now you have Salty rolling in, but he's going to be gone. So it's going to be a tough one.
Gone. Skyfoxes take a 3-0 and remain undefeated in Trials, and Chicken Contendies, that'll be their first loss.
Yeah, and we will see them go ahead. Because map differential is important, we do play this 4th map, but obviously this does mean, like you say, the undefeated streak continues for Meta Skyfoxes, handing Chicken Contendies their first loss. And again, Cloneman 16 has been playing throughout this series. We haven't seen Remix just yet, but due to the fact that, you know, we expected a lot of that aggression to come from Chicken Contendies, it should be no surprise that they played Cloneman these first 3 maps at the very least to make sure that you have that kind of more defensive player, that more reserved player that can wait for his opportunity and then attack.
That's so smart that you bring that up, because they had, you know, their GM Justin had just said Remix way more of an aggressive Rhine and main tank player in general, Cloneman more passive, and you need that passive Rhine player to protect you against a Sombra that's trying to hack either you or your backline. If you go too far forward, you expose the rest of your members, you expose yourself to a hack, and if a Rhine gets hacked, you're basically dead. There's nothing protecting you, and there's just no mobility that can get you out unless your Lucio's got their speed boost on cooldown.
Yeah, and amp cooldowns, I mean, definitely going to be something to keep an eye out on, but especially, you know, even when you have a Sombra on your team as well, as Cloneman does pretty much all the time, you know, that also is super important to have that same defensive style, right? I mean, buying time for your Sombra is so important so that you can generate into those EMPs, so that you can buy time for them to make plays, especially when you have the Ana as well. It's all about buying time, waiting for the opportunity to get the biotics, land those purples, create opportunities to win out the attrition war, create opportunities for those hacks to go out so that you have targets to go for. That is the name of the game with this composition, and Cloneman, I think, is the perfect tank for them to get that job done. Would Remix be able to pull that off too? Absolutely he would be able to pull that off. But when you have these 2 guys at your disposal, like Skyfoxes does, you always go for the best possible scenario, and I think they were incredibly smart to pull out Cloneman here. And Remix, I think, you know, would have really played well into this as well.
As our 4th map has been decided there by Chicken Contendies, we're going to Rialto for our final escort map. And again, this is about map differential. The win is for Skyfoxes for 3-0, but can they make it a 4-0, or do they make it a 3-1? And at this point, you know, differential is great, but Chicken Contendies, they still look very poised to making contenders yet again, or at least for this upcoming season.
Yeah, so this is the map that Cloneman is incredibly strong on, and this is the map that they would have put Cloneman on had they not had him on, you know, any of the others. So you always want to bring him out on this one. Makes sense that you keep him on for this 4th map in a row. And the win condition here for Chicken Contendies is to play their GOAT style the only way that they know how, which is aggressively. And it's just that same, it's that same narrative, right? That same concept of just making sure that you can always push the envelope, making sure that Lastro is effectively just choked out and he can't make the plays with the biotics. If you make sure that you shut out the Ana and make sure that Buds doesn't have time to make those plays and those openings aren't created, you can win fights time and time again, but it has to be through that. And I don't think there's any other way to do it consistently.
Yeah, the Ana is something we haven't, hyped up a ton of. Yeah, he's hitting some antis here and there, but that's another winning condition that Skyfoxes have to work with. And especially with this defensive high ground and Chicken Contendies forced to play on the low ground for the moment, if Lasher hits one of these sick antis onto the attacking team, that's the ghost sign for the defense to run Chicken Contendies over. And then it's like, if you don't rely on the antis, then you have hacks or the EMPs from Buds, and if not, then you have phased with Grav, and if not, then you have Clone Man Shatters. So there's a lot of dangers and a lot of threats on Skyfoxes.
And in the meantime, you're just building to a nano, right? You're just building to that nano boost. The fact that essentially, eventually, Clone Man will be able to just walk forward onto your tank line and just swing away.
Harblue on the Pharah, Tanner on the Ashe. We've seen Tanner here and there in Open Division playoffs sport the Ashe player, having the Bob. He'll be able to just help bring that 7th member into the field to help sustain his team and also add more damage, as Chicken Contendies with this dive have set themselves up on the cart. But the real fight's gonna happen in a few meters.
This is a smart comp for them to run here against the Sombra. Buds really probably wants to be on a McCree here, but either way, they're on the Sombra now. Now it's about making it work, and it's going to be a struggle here as Tanner is just putting in the pressure onto this Sombra player.
It'll be up to Buds to harass Tanner, to harass Harblue, or even go after the supports. There's a lot of new things that Skyfoxes have to deal with that they haven't before. Taking out the main healer of Chicken Contendies is a great start. You still got Zolik, though, that will res that up. And Chicken Contendies still have their tanks alive. And meanwhile, they've traded a few picks onto Skyfoxes, who are kind of stuck behind the cart.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting that they actually swapped spawns here. Chicken Contendies playing off of the high ground very well here, and the barrage coming out from Harblue finds one, make it 2.
Big plays, barrage already, and Skyfoxes just found themselves in awkward positions. You said, behind the cart, and now their healers are staggered. See if they can touch, but a few meters, it's not going to happen. Chicken Contendies get point A pretty decisively.
But Buds, at the moment, is still on this Sombra, and he does have the EMP, so you have to imagine that that is the reason why. And you can see he's just right over the top, looking for that opportunity to get back over to his team and then take control of the high ground so that he can drop onto them with the EMP. This is their opportunity to retake here.
And then the opportunity is here. The EMP drops, but Bob is there to help the rest of the team. But Clone Man doesn't care. He just shattered Chicken Contendies, sending them right back to spawn. And Bob doing his very best, but he won't be able to save the team. And even Zolik tried to help the team with the Valkyrie, but again, Chicken Contendies will have to reset.
Well, Harblue's still on this Pharah, and it's going to be hard to contest him here, especially with this Mercy pocket. It's going to come down to, basically just Lastro and FaZe to just kind of haze him over time to force him to play a little bit more defensively. And maybe over time they could just win the ground war. And I guess that's their play here, because Buds hasn't swapped to the McCree that you would typically see him swap to deal with this.
Not yet. I mean, that feels like they're relying on the winning condition of the EMP, while Tanner, as soon as that Bob was out, he goes to the Widowmaker. Maybe a more reliant sniper for long range, and a barrage comes out, but it's a 1-to-1 trade. Now Chicken Contendies, maybe not going for the res. They give the nano to Gig, who tries to make space around the cart, but going against Clone Man and a Brigitte, that's not a fight that Gig wants to take unless he's got a primal rage, but he gets pinned to another planet, and Chicken Contendies' backline is suffering.
I think they have to go for a swap here, and again, so close to that EMP, that's pretty much a certified fight victory there if you can get that out. But with the way that this fight has been going, they can get a kill onto Harblue here, who's going to be dropping, but pocketed. They actually still go for it. They find the kill anyways.
And they can't even, make that room to see if Zola could go for a res. Clone Man goes for a shatter and did finish off that kill there. So now with Chicken Contendies don't have a main tank, Zola goes for a res there, but wants to give that up. That's not a winnable fight for them, as Skyfoxes now get ready for the EMP in the next fight.
They have to make this work here. They're still on this Sombra. They're still able to deal with these ground engagements much to their advantage, right? They can definitely play off the EMP here and get the work done, get the value out of that particular ultimate. They need to build to more when this EMP comes out. It's all about making sure that they can build into the Transcendence from Lastro, so he really has to dish out the damage once this EMP drops.
And swaps coming in, Tanner on the Zarya, Gig on the Reinhardt. Harblue still on the Pharmercy. As Skyfoxes, they get ready with their EMP. They drop it onto the front line of Chicken Contendies, and Gig is out. They deal with Tanner, and Salty's already out of the picture, so Chicken Contendies, I mean, at least they survive through the EMP and they don't sacrifice too much time.
Still hanging on right now, backing off this attack, and you have to imagine that Harblue's going to be making a swap. But interestingly, okay, so Tanner is going to swap back so that Harblue can take over the Zarya role, but there it is. So now it's back to that. Suppose still on this Ana. So interestingly, it's a swap of roles, right? Lastro on the Zenyatta, Suppose on the Ana, and now it's a different type of win condition for both of these teams.
Support ultimates, that'll be big. Suppose giving the nano to Gig, has that advantage in the Rhino, but now the Transcendence from Lastro keeps him up. Phase back into mech, and Anti hits a lot of people from Skyfoxes, but they're still engaging. The shatter from Clone Man scares away Chicken Contendies for the moment. Tanner's caught into a corner, and the rest of Chicken Contendies are already missing in action. A minute 12 left, and Chicken Contendies, they've tried the swaps, but nothing's happening yet.
And you can see the difference, the adaptation that Meta Skyfoxes have made as well. Due to the fact that they did bring this Zenyatta into play, they can be a little bit more aggressive. They can go for these takes, you know, throw out a quick hack, hit a quick bash play, and then just let Lastro just fly. Let him just pop off on this Zenyatta.
Buds has the EMP, and he's just finding the perfect moment. Nails Chicken Contendies. Now can they survive through it? All Gig can do is hammer away. You see the focus fire is on Gig, and the finish off is there. Skyfoxes got exactly and accomplished exactly what they wanted.
Lastro, the man of the hour. And what a superhero, too. Look at that. 300 HP Zenyatta just building up into Transcendence after Transcendence, fight after fight. Now only one opportunity left, but luckily a swap early enough from Chicken Contendies has allowed them to have this chance here with the Graviton available.
It's their last chance. 10 seconds left. Grav, Lastro with the Transcendent self-destruct from Salty. How big can it be? It's bubbled and blocked. Not the kills Chicken Contendies were looking for, but they're still taking advantage. Still 4 members left of Skyfoxes who are trying to maintain the cart as they give up some space to Chicken Contendies. They need their full 6, but can they even contest the end of point B? That seems like no.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's going to be a viable option for them as phase drops, and there's no way that they're going to be able to contest that, and certainly not be able to retake it with phase down. But Lastro makes his swap, and now things seem back to normal, right? Suppose back on Zenyatta, Lastro back on the Ana, and we will see phase with the opportunity to go and drop this Graviton. Maybe they can get a setup for Buds in time to have an EMP ready if they want to even combo those two together.
Phase, Graviton, Buds, about to have EMP. This is Skyfox's fight to win. Chicken Contendies have a minute, and they still have to break through the end of Rialto, which is so difficult as it is. The Grav is dropped, EMP is dropped. Chicken Contendies lost one of their most important members along with the rest of the team. 49 seconds left. Can Chicken Contendies pull through?
That's why you love the Sombra right there, right? You'd be able to cancel out an entire ultimate in just one click of a button. Sound barrier just gone. Now, it's all about Harblue here. Harblue and Suppose, they have the sustain with the rally as well to back them up. Can they get the job done here? They clearly have the ability to jump forward and get the pressure out, and they do have the ability to sustain on that payload as well, but can they do it for long enough with the respawn advantage to Meta Skyfoxes?
Well, they can't be too aggressive. Clone Man has Shatter, but Chicken Contendies are right in their faces. Shatter me, I dare you! Clone Man now doesn't have his buddy Buds, who is about to have EMP. Now Skyfoxes have to take a step back, because Gig just shatters them. Skyfoxes can't lose any more members if they want to keep staggering and contesting this payload before the end of point C is now in overtime. At least if they give this one up, this should still be fine. A Graviton is thrown from phase to see if if they could deal with Hard Blue, but they still don't even get that kill. As now Emergency Hamster break the glass, you get Attitude, and Cloman gets the Nano. There's so much power and so much DPS from Skyfoxes, who are trying to break through this offense of Chicken Contendies, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Chicken Contendies have barely lost any members, and it's just a matter of time, and there it is. Chicken Contendies will finish Rialto.
And hope persists for Chicken Contendies. Again, map differential is so important, especially when you consider how close these teams could wind up. I mean, Bermuda are hot on their tails at the moment. Yes, they're down this series, and that means that they're tied with teams like Bermuda, so they have to make sure that they're on watch basically for these kind of maps and these opportunities that arise. I mean, it could very well determine who winds up making it into Contenders and who just simply doesn't. So this is very important for them. They need to get this win right here if they want the best chances down the line.
For sure, but Chicken Contendies is also bringing, new tools to the table. We saw Hard Blue on Pharah, and it actually worked out really well for point A and point B until they got stuck for point B for a while. They had Ash and Ash from Tanner, who tried the Widow, and then eventually Chicken Contendies realized if they wanted to break through such a difficult choke point, which is, halfway through point B, is to run the goats.
Yeah, you just have to utilize that in order to break through that wall. You're exactly right, especially given the fact that, that Widow can't get around that sight line and get around that corner and have the ideal sight line to be able to operate in the best capacity, especially even for your Pharah as well, who has to kind of bring the Widow or bring the Mercy out into the middle of the fight as well to be, aggressive and engage in the fight the way that they want to.
Skyfoxes, doing what they do best. It's Buds on the Somber. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. And we haven't seen actually, the possibility could have been Attitude on the far. We've seen it before, but the triple support is what's important to Skyfoxes. They not only want to set up a hack, but they also want to outlast Chicken Contendies of matching that 3 support versus 3 support.
And in doing so, we will see them just, again, try to play this for time, right? That's the point of having the triple support. That's the point of having this solo DPS with no diva, is just playing for time, allowing your Ana to make plays, and they're going for him right here.
Really like the high ground position from Skyfoxes too. It's something Chicken Contendies aren't really contesting. Big advantage to those members on the high ground to stay nice and safe, and Chicken Contendies taking in damage from all angles. But Shatter at the ready for Gig. Skyfoxes, do they expect it? Now you don't have the speed boost here for the defense, missing Zolik a little early. Skyfox is looking to engage off of this, and Gig actually Shatters, gets mostly blocked. He gets antied and dealt with, so no main shield for the defense.
And EMP built in that last fight, so should there be another opportunity to contest before point A is actually captured? Yes. However, you still have to deal with a plethora of ultimates that are available for meta Skyfoxes, and the point here is that you really want to take as many away from them as possible, so that once you get into these second point defenses, you have at least 3 solid fights in choke points that are advantageous to you before you wind up giving up that second stage.
Almost every ultimate for Skyfoxes. How many will it take to break through point A? So far, only 1. Make it 2. Skyfox is taken care of already. The most important members from Chicken Contendies who decide to use the Graviton from Hard Blue. It gets them now 2 picks, and Skyfox is not in the most winnable scenario unless Clone Man can put everyone in his backpack. Self-destruct from Salty should get blocked, but it breaks the shield of Clone Man, who after so many ultimates, Skyfoxes will have to give up the payload.
4 ultimates invested in that fight, no point achieved. That is so valuable at this stage in the game here. 2 minutes, just less than that. That means you have 1 more shot at being able to build into those ultimates that you lost, other than Buds, who was able to build quickly alongside Clone Man, who stayed in that fight as well. But FaZe and Attitude, you got to get something done here. EMP to follow up onto that Graviton or something to lower down those defenses and push this victory forward.
Grab from the offense, the barrier sustains them. A nice anti from Lasher weakens them for the moment, but Gig is just pinned out, and Chicken Contendies now don't have a main shield. Not a lot of damage mitigation is left. Buds is gonna bring the pain even more with an EMP, and there's finally the finish Skyfoxes were looking for, as they will get point A.
Still though, a really solid retake there from the defense, Chicken Contendies
And a pause.
doing a good job so far. Unfortunately, it looks... Oh, okay. He does get saved. It looked like for a moment there, they were going to lose Suppose. It looks like it only was a situation of being alt-tab. Yeah, he's at 94% towards his
That would
Transcendence.
have
And
really
so
sucked.
important. That would have been so bad, especially given, their time bank and making sure that they have a good shot at going into further rounds, or maybe even just making a full stop here.
Skyfoxes, I mean, they got point A. I mean, they had almost 6 ultimates in the fight before that, which they could have won it. A little criticism, they could have won it a little bit early, but they got the job done, so it doesn't matter. So Chicken Contendies, they'll have the grab. They don't have to self-destruct yet, and he still throws it now on the side of the car, but Suppose is there also to keep his team maintained with the Transcendence. As Skyfoxes missing 2 and more members, Cloneman tried to go for a shatter play, but not enough follow-up when most of his team is dead.
They're forced to back out now, but this is the Chicken Contendies that we saw back on Blizzard World, Game 1, Week 1, where they were able to just play so aggressive on their defense. Harblu was popping off. They need more of that here in this matchup versus Meta Skyfoxes. And again, has to be down to Salty, who's been relatively quiet so far.
Well, might be a little bit quiet more when they're caught into this graviton and just a lot of damage raining in for Skyfoxes. So it's going to be even more quiet now as Skyfoxes now. They'll hold, or actually, sorry, not defense. It is offense. They do move the payload forward and eventually getting through that underpass, which Chicken Contendies on their offense spent so much time at.
Still, though, there is a possibility here for Meta Skyfoxes. EMP has just been so consistent for them time and time and time again. They're able to win fights purely based off of the EMP, and it seems like this should be one of those cases as well.
We gotta wait out the self-destruct first and catch Chicken Contendies while they're being aggressive. EMP now is dropped and the shatter with it. That's a guaranteed team wipe for Skyfoxes. And now minute 48, they will get point B from this. But the question is, Herix, now time banks will be coming into play later on.
Yeah, so they're going to get added time here, but maybe a contest right after this point is capped. Good on Buds, actually, to kind of ward that off.
Speedy.
I don't think that they're going to have a very solid engage here trying to contest with 2 meters away.
Yeah, I was surprised they wanted to engage that, but Zolik drops the barrier. They want to win this bad. Both support ultimates out for Chicken Contendies. That's the pressure. Skyfoxes back. We're getting ready with their own ultimates, but it's the Graviton from Harblu that traps the front line of Skyfoxes, who only lose their Zarya player. It's still winnable for them. It's just a bit riskier. A hack gets Salty. Still not the moment to engage here for Skyfoxes, who get an anti-ult to Gig, and that's a moment they could take out the main tank player. And they get that successfully. Now Skyfoxes in a great position if they can make it happen. They won't have the Nano of Lastro available quite yet, as Chicken Contendies missing most of their team. This should be a fight for Skyfoxes.
Yeah, they should close this out. Still have to take down the raid bosses and Yada, and the ability to do so has to come from the EMP. They get it. Now they just have to clean things up.
Some very panicky ultimates coming out. You had EMP from Buds with 3 people on his team left. You had Gig, who comes out of downtown and shadows the first person he sees. But unfortunately, Chicken Contendies is not going to get point B from this, but at least they got some time off the clock.
Yeah, that was actually a super good fight for them. Yes, they invested both of their support ults. Because that fight lasted so long, though, now we see them generating it back up to about 85% for both. So not too much loss there, and they have the ability to have another recontest before what could be, just jumping onto the payload from respawn after that, should it get to that stage.
FaZe uses the Graviton early in Chicken Contendies. Zolik dies with barrier, and a 3K goes in for Clone Man. Chicken Contendies just weren't ready with their support ultimates, but possibly they want to hold on to it for the long fight coming up, which is the contest for point C.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a long, drawn-out battle. I mean, support ults coming online, especially the Transcendence, for Suppose. That's going to be something to keep your eye on, how they want to mimic the Sound Bear and then use the Transcendence as a means to have more... Oh, the stun!
Oh! It's big, and an anti is even bigger. Chicken Contendies don't have a ton of healing, but now Transcendence tries to keep them sustained as Skyfoxes now, they get caught into a Graviton from Harblu, and they're a little bit separated at the moment where Chicken Contendies, they take advantage. Taking out 2 from Skyfoxes forces them to reset.
And again, another time where, you know, 3 support ultimates invested, 2 at the same time, the Transcendence and the Sound Barrier. However, Sleep Dart onto Tanner. They could go for a charge setup, but instead swinging away, looking for the ult charge instead.
Gig shatters him, but he got left completely by himself. His team thought they were backing out. So Gig is dead, and now Skyfoxes have a ton of momentum. They can go into here. The Graviton is thrown towards the right, just solo growling hard blue. That is a high confidence play. Skyfoxes have to take care of Salty. A few members left from Chicken Contendies. But here, this is an overtime to overtime finish for both these teams.
Oh, so both of these teams get that extra allotment of time, and we will be definitely getting into overtime pushes to see who winds up taking this map. A minute to both, and we will see, you know, basically what is the case of a map differential, you know, really mattering here. If Chicken Contendies can pull this out, I think this would be so huge for them. They already lost this series, unfortunately, but you know, being able to bounce back against Meta Skyfoxes and put a dent into what is a very, very solid team that just seems to get better and better every single time we see them play with this new roster, with this new team structure, you know, staff behind them as well. I think that would be big for CC.
Would be big for CC to at least not go down 4-0, which Skyfoxes already did that once to, was it Paradigm? And then they lost, and then they won 3-1 over phase 2. So Chicken Contendies have 1 minute to maximize that distance. How far can they get? And if you remember their point A push from last time, they did really well considering hard blue on the far, which is something I hadn't seen in trials yet. First time we've seen Chicken Contendies not play goats in trials, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we saw them on anything but goats was OD playoffs, where they actually had a triple tank dive. Hard blue was on a Hammond. So yeah, this is the first time we've seen him on anything other than a tank, just in general with this roster. So that's even a big standout for these guys.
I'll see how much space he can create. He gets actually hacked out of the sky, and thankfully gets out of line of sight, so Skyfoxes couldn't finish it off. But with the triple support, Skyfoxes will have their own sustain, and again, working around Buds to either get an initial, you know, a vanilla hack, or working towards an EMP could be the finisher that Skyfoxes are looking for.
Still hard blue under pressure by Buds, and they're playing this high ground effectively. And what a great nade from Lastro!
Lastro MVP with these anti-nades, just completely just wounded the front line of Chicken Contendies. That was a big play, and now you got Zolik, you know, pinned to it downtown, and 12 seconds less for Chicken Contendies to get on this payload.
Still, ultimates built up for this robust defense of composition, and now it's going to be a big swap here. Chicken Contendies, hard blue.
Oh, no.
You know, he goes for the Hammond, but he can't make it in time. Unfortunately, just not quick enough there. Not quick enough.
Not fast enough. Go back on the wheel, hamster. Gotta go faster. Maybe it was like, you know, the Lucio and the hamster. You know, you gotta go in. But 12 seconds, it's a tough one to beat. And that was really a great setup play from Lastro. That, again, that winning condition. There's so many on them on Skyfoxes, and that Ana anti-nade is one of them. Yeah,
and it's again just. It's essentially where both teams want to buy times for plays to be able to be generated, because obviously we've talked about it already, where, you know, with this Ana Sombra composition, you want to buy time for, you know, Buds to generate EMPs. You want to buy time for opportunities for biotic grenades to swing fights, so you can win the attrition war over time and find opportunities to get burst potential out. Whereas the other side, they're chipping away. They're waiting for their opportunity to just go in for kills, wait for those diving opportunities. So it was effectively just who can get that advantage first. And unfortunately for Chicken Contendies, Lastro just hit the nuttiest of biotic grenades over the top of a shield and was able to pin it against the wall and nail, I believe, 2 to 3 targets there. And that opened things up for them big time, shut down that entire attack.
Lastro, you know, 17 years old. You probably know him from Stormquake. Contenders Korea.
You better know him from Stormquake. You better know him from Stormquake.
You guys should go watch Contenders Korea, because it's going to be lit. Well, now Skyfoxes on their attack. Yellow box of victory around the corner. The Sombra, triple support, always what they go with. Chicken Contendies with the goats. An initial hack onto hard blue. Another anti from Lastro. And that's the moment for Skyfoxes to pull the trigger, but they're never ever too aggressive. And that's because of Clone Man being the more passive, but also a very smart smart main tank to lead these charges. Now Skyfoxes, they take a different approach, actually going towards the high ground, and Chicken Contendies actually chasing them and not really sure where they're going to end up.
Yeah, playing this high ground, it does seem like the advantage so far is going to Chicken Contendies, and with 15 seconds left, this is a big one to have.
This is a do or die for either team. Skyfoxes can't afford any mistakes. They need to get onto this cart, and Chicken Contendies are separated. Now, can Skyfoxes take advantage of these kills and push this cart? The yellow box of victory is there, and the kills, they start to favor Skyfoxes in overtime. Emergency hamster on the field. It's Gig with the help of Salty. How much can they make happen? How much time can they buy for the team? Not a lot of seconds is the question, and that's the answer. Skyfoxes push to the yellow box of victory and take the 4-0 win over Chicken Contendies in Trials.
And still stampeding over their competition. The only map that they have dropped was a close one on Horizon versus Phase 2 in their first matchup. Ever since then, it's been nothing but dominance. And they continue it here. Yes, it was a good showing from Chicken Contendies, and I think that will continue to show. I mean, Chicken Contendies is not a team that I think a lot of people expected to be doing so well, but they have been continuing to get better and better and better over the course of this Trials phase.
And I seriously thought, with 1 minute on each team, Chicken Contendies with Goats, I almost kind of favor them to maximize that distance. But it was a huge play, huge MVP for me last year with these antis, because it wasn't even that fight. He also did it on their attack, which blew open Chicken Contendies to get to that yellow box of victory.
Yeah, I mean, Lastro is a guy that you definitely have to keep your eye on. I mean, I think there were a lot of questions in regards to Skyfoxes. I mean, remember, they actually didn't announce their roster until what, like 5 o'clock in the morning Eastern, the day of the tournament or the day of Trials actually starting, I think, if not the day before. I mean, it was like super early in the morning or / late at night, depending on what time zone you're in, right before the tournament. So, I mean, there's a lot of questions in regards to, what was going to be this roster just in general, but also what were they actually capable of, because a lot of people didn't know some of these names, especially because one of those names was a changed name, Venture going to Attitude. So there were questions, and you saw that in the community as well, but I think they're starting to answer a lot of those questions, and the answers are very, very good.
Very good. Speaking of this gameplay, we have another match coming around the corner. It will be Paradigm versus Bermuda, with ZP and Avast about to hop on camera. But with that 4-0 win, Skyfox is, potentially in that first place spot, because we just got an update that while Square One and Phase 2 are playing off stream, Square One took a 3-1 win over Phase 2, and now they'll have the same map differential as Skyfoxes.
Yeah, they just barely lost out on Rialto, but otherwise were doing quite well throughout their series as well. So Square One, another one of those teams that came out of Open Division that was